my focus?
Yes. Okay. First things, can you tell us your name and where you're from and your age?
My name is Robert J. Imbus Jr. I am 75 years old, and I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Just speak up just a little bit. Okay, first thing I'm going to ask, what was your youth like? What were the most distinguishing events that happened during your younger years?
Well, I was born in 1936, and while I don't recall a lot of the first years of my life, if any, it was during the Depression, the Great Depression. So I can recall not having a lot, but that was true of most during the Depression.
And then,
I can recall rationing for the Second World War, and I can recall the first automobile my family bought when I was about 10 years old.
what car was that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Tell us about your high school life. I know you went to St. X and all that, but tell us how you think it's different from what I do today in high school.
Well, specifically at St. X High School, most of our teachers were either Jesuits or, well, they were Jesuits, including scholastics, as they were called, and still are. We only had two so-called lay teachers, as I recall. One taught English. Three. One taught math and one taught chemistry. Transportation was limited to public transportation. At that time, St. X High School was downtown in Cincinnati, and literally every student took the bus, or the streetcar, if you will, to and from school.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about college, where you went and what you plan to do, and then tell me also, not as many kids from St. X went to college back then, and what did they do instead, and what was the overall idea of college back then?
College was still the objective of the majority of my class. I graduated from high school in 1954. But enlisting in the military service was a perfectly socially acceptable step after high school, as was entering into any number of, quote, trades, unquote. So a minority, but more than a few of my classmates went into trades.
Don't worry about that.
Or into the service, enlisted in the service. But the majority still aspired to college, and particularly from St. X High School, which probably had a disproportionate number of students that matriculated to college as opposed to other high schools in the area.
Do you feel like a majority of high schoolers went on to college back then, not speaking from St. X, all over the country, feel like a majority or a minority went to college back then?
If I had to guess, it was probably 50-50, Jake.
50-50? Okay. And do you view it as a good or a bad thing that a higher percentage of individuals go on to college and that you almost have to go on to college today to get a job?
Well, Obviously, it depends upon your objective. I think from an employment point of view, with a few exceptions in the trades, you need that higher education. I don't think it's necessarily a 4-year liberal arts degree, although I am a product of that and I advocate it, as opposed to some form of technical training. I also think that formal education increases the quality of your life, whatever your income may be, your ability to communicate, your appreciation of what you hear and what you observe, and the judgments that you make. But I think there are two sides to it without being too loquacious. There's the quality of life side, which is promoted by formal education. The income side, I think you need a certain amount of education, whether it's formal or informal, beyond high school, whether that's anywhere from an apprenticeship with a particular skill in mind to a much more sophisticated profession.
What would you say is the biggest difference between when you were around my age and nowadays?
Communication and transportation.
Okay. I know you were in the military as a Marine. Can you just give us a brief synopsis of that, how that experience was, and how you came to choose to join the Marine Corps?
Well, when I was a senior in high school, my father suggested I take a certain battery of tests for a scholarship program sponsored by the Navy, and I really didn't know what the hell that was all about, but I did it. And the next thing I knew, I was awarded a scholarship to college by the Navy Department. There were quite a few colleges available from which to select. I didn't really select. My father strongly suggested that I attend Holy Cross, and so I did. Holy Cross is a Jesuit university. Each summer we had training primarily with the Navy. To make a long story short, about my third year, there was a so-called Marine Corps option where a certain number were permitted to be commissioned in the Marine Corps rather than the Navy. I wanted to be a Marine.